In Mark chapter 8, beginning at verse 27, we come to a section of Mark that goes all the way through chapter 9, verse 1, which I take to be the hinge point of the gospel according to Mark. In this text, Jesus asks his disciples who the people say that he is. They respond that they think that Jesus is a prophet, maybe a recent prophet like John the Baptist or an older prophet like Elijah, but one of the prophets. So the people are obviously impressed by Jesus, but only to the extent that they think he is a prophet. Jesus then asks, "But who do you say that I am?" Now, before we look at the disciples' answer, I want us to consider all the information that Mark provides up to this point that would help them as they're answering this question. Remember that Jesus was proclaimed as the one who would baptize in the Holy Spirit by John, and as one who was so great that John was not worthy to untie the strap on Jesus' sandal. He was declared to be God's beloved and well-pleasing Son by God Himself. He was descended upon by the Holy Spirit. He proclaimed that God's kingdom was at hand, and He spoke as if He had the right to command and expect to be obeyed, and demonstrated that authority by casting out a demon. He cured Peter's mother-in-law of a fever, and He healed people of various diseases, and He cleansed a leper with just a touch, and healed a paralytic, saying that it was evidence that He had forgiven this man's sin. He said that He had come to establish a new order of things, and claimed to be Lord of the Sabbath. He healed a man with a withered hand. He stilled the stormy sea. He cast out a legion of demons. He healed a woman who had an issue of blood for 12 years and raised a 12-year-old little girl from the dead as if He was waking her up from sleep. He fed 5,000 men, plus women and children, with 5 loaves and 2 fish, and took up 12 baskets of leftovers. He walked on the water. He cast out a demon of a little girl when He wasn't even present at her side. He healed a deaf man. He fed 4,000 with 7 loaves and a few fish and took up 7 baskets full of leftovers. He healed a blind man. And He did all of this with command, never unsure of who He was or of what He could do. He did so with confidence, never intimidated by the religious leaders. He did so with calmness, never overwhelmed by the ruckus or the commotion, never rattled by the critiques and the criticisms of His enemies. He did so with compassion, always concerned about the common people, and with commitment to God's will above all. And so is it any wonder that when Jesus asks, "Who do you say that I am?" Peter says, "You are the Christ. You are the King over God's promised kingdom." But the real question is, who do you say that Jesus is? And if you do not believe that Jesus is the Christ, what more could Jesus have done to convince you? Or are you just unwilling to be convinced? And if you do believe that Jesus is the Christ, what does that mean about the truth of the words that He spoke? And what does that mean for the authority of those words to dictate and control your life?